Okay, everybody, welcome. I will try to be as brief as possible. So what I did was something cool. This is the particle system, of course, that I've been working on, and I added a new vertex attribute. Okay, it's called the type, so that I can send in addition to the position, color, and size, a particular type. So in other words, yeah, a type. We can do with that whatever we want. Anyways, for now it's a float. It's called the type. Okay, so it gets sent in via the vertex array. So we can control it with the application, what we want to do, and then out float the type. So the type equals a type, right? So this gets sent to the fragment shader 2. So in float the type. Okay, so it floats in. I also added this, the uniform sampler 2D sprite texture. We know how to use textures, but we'll review that really quickly here. So the type, and then the type comes down through here. If it's 0, we're going to reference the texture that we throw in with the sampler and use GL point chord for the point. And then if the type is not equal to 0, we're just going to go with a color. Okay, the color that we send in via the other vertex attribute. Color. Okay, moving down here. Okay, so then there's our texture. Okay, so we just added another GLU into the main class. Okay, this is the basic class. Okay. Um, we had to change up our add point function because every time we call that, we need to send in the type now, and it's a float, so we added it at the very end, and it's all happy and everything. Okay, so we also added a new function init text. Okay, so we're going to initialize the texture there. Nothing really changes there. This is init 2. Okay, this changes here. So we have these two lines. So we added a new vertex attrib pointer, which we were just looking at in the shader. Okay, so it's going to be the layout location 3. There's only one. We can probably do 2 eventually, but for now it's just going to be 1. And oh, I threw it in as an unsigned int. Oh, and it's still compiled and worked. What the GBs? That was weird, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, we'll save that because I fixed that. I mean, it still works actually as an unsigned int, so that was weird. But maybe it's because it's the very last one and it doesn't really matter because it's trying to find the next one after that. Okay. Anyways, so GL false, all this other stuff, 7 times float. I had to change this for each one of them, of course. Now this is 6, which is where you take these last 3 and you add them up. That's the offset to get to the beginning of where it starts. And then we have to enable the vertex attribute array. Okay. Down we go. Okay, so init text, I literally copied this from learnopengl.com's example. I moved this, excuse me, this reference to the texture. When you generate the texture, this is the unsigned integer that GL uses to reference the texture within its context. So I moved that, like you saw up here, into the texture. That's what I was talking about when I created a new GLU int texture. But basically, yeah, the rest of it's just copied verbatim. I took out that file system thing. I just don't happen to like that. If you put it in there and use it and you can figure it out, that's fine. That's great. I just didn't want to hassle with it. I just like just this. I put all my pictures right where they're supposed to be inside the... Anyways, okay, so then we didn't do anything there. We didn't do anything here except for in the draw command, we added bind texture. So this automatically binds the texture to the uniform sampler reference in the shader. So we have uniform sampler 2D sprite texture, and then when we bind the texture here, it gets bound to the shader program uniform thing. We don't even have to do the GL uniform location. We don't have to send it at anything, and then we just draw the points. Okay. Here's the add point function where we added another float at the end, call it type. And then here we actually use type and we add 6 to that, and then we add 7 to that. So we got, and then points init, of course, we're actually going to call it. In this case, it's random. So it's either the point textured or the point colored. Okay, so it's 0 or 1. Okay, each time through. These, I just updated the add point and I put 0 at the end so that they would all be the same type. 0 doesn't do anything. I just made sure that the function's compiled because they have to have the same parameter declarations and all that fun stuff. So we're going to compile it again. Now it's a float. See, so we get either a color or a texture from a point, and we're using the same vertex attribute or the same vertex array object, which is great. So now we can actually do like a 2D engine. We can have some parts of it textured, some parts of it colored, and then based on the type, we can also control the animation, which is equally exciting. So, all right, well, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And this is where it starts to get hot and heavy. So I actually kind of forced myself to work on this morning, even though it's a really simple thing. So, anyways, um, and again, thanks for watching, and be sure to leave a comment, suggestion, anything you want to see done. I will work on that, although we are working hot and heavy towards a 2D engine, specifically a particle engine.